Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another best of the week video. And the big news of the week, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, they will be facing off for the IBF heavyweight title on the 21st of September in London. So this fight is going to be at Wembley, so big fight, a return to the stadium fight for Anthony Joshua, and for Daniel Dubois being a headliner on such a big card. This is going to raise his profile to no end, and especially if he goes in there and puts on a good performance, dethrones Joshua, this could be the absolute making of Daniel Dubois. For Anthony Joshua, it's also kind of a little bit serendipitous, the IBF on the line here. This is the belt that he first picked up about 8 years ago or so. So it's a big fight, all to play for. That IBF title, and we'll come to that, was dropped by Oleksandr Usyk, who is rematching Tyson Fury at the end of the year. So you've had these two face off, and I did wonder here, see this photo here, if Joshua's actually wearing lifts, because Daniel Dubois, was he 6'4", 6'4.5", Anthony Joshua 6'6", looks a little bit more there, maybe a little bit of a psychological edge that Joshua's trying to play there with some lifts or something like that. I mean, you do have a case of the likes of Vladimir Klitschko in the past, had done that to try, tower over and look down on his opponents. But this does appear like it's going to be quite a spicy sort of build-up. You've had a case, and this is a video here of Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua, a piece recorded for the promotional side of things, and yeah, it was a bit tasty. So on the Queensbury and a few other social media pages, you can see that. You had Joshua saying, "Don't disrespect me," Daniel Dubois saying, "I'm not intimidated by you." And I think this is going to be quite a decent build-up. Both these guys not necessarily known for their vicious trash talk, and generally do their sort of fighting in the ring and let their hands do the business and the talking. Daniel Dubois has tried to open up with some better trash talk in the last year, maybe a few misfires along the way, but I think this is going to be quite tasty. And Joshua, previously, when he's been, guys have tried to get an edge on him, try to, as he saw it, disrespect him, like Dominic Brazil, for example, has taken not too kindly to that and has ultimately delivered a beating. And I think Joshua probably goes in favourite for this one, but this is a pretty good fight. I mean, I've seen a few people saying they don't like it, but I mean, what else are you expecting at this point? You've got Dubois winning the IBF interim title of Filip Hrgović. Anthony Joshua can't fight Usyk. He can't fight Fury. Deontay Wilder's lost a couple in a row. This looks like an obvious fight to make. And Joshua himself says reality's about to hit him. So I like this fight. Big stadium fight, big events. The card in general, where are we? So you have... so actually, one thing before I get onto that, Joshua versus Dubois at Wembley. So you've had tickets on sale, and as has been reported by IFL, saying that Eddie Hearn has said Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois sold around 70,000 tickets on the first day of sale. He added that when 90,000 are sold, the idea is to push with the council to extend capacity to 100,000 and set a new UK boxing attendance record. And if I'm not mistaken, was it Fury vs White in 2022 which took that? And I think that might have been from Joshua in one of his stadium fights previously. Regardless, if they get to 100,000, that's a huge event. And obviously, a little bit of extra planning and other things has to happen logistically to make that happen, and that is down to the local council. But the rest of the card, I mean, there was talk a little while ago that the September show, this will be the first one that the Saudis, as part of Riyadh season, are doing in the UK. There was talk that Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley would be on the undercard. For whatever reason, I don't see it here. Perhaps that's going to be on another card later this year. I guess we shall see it. Kind of, for me, obviously, as a heavyweight fan, and this is headlined by a heavyweight, would have been nice to see one heavyweight fight on the undercard, another big one. Perhaps they'll slip Moses Itauma towards the bottom against someone as one of his development fights. I don't know, but I mean, I gotta say, it's kind of looking like it's lacking a true co-main event at this point. Although you do have Joshua Buatsi on there, but he's quite far down. You've got Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly. There's some interesting fights, but it does feel like it's just, apart from the main event, just lacking a little bit of wow sort of factor. But the fact we're getting Joshua Dubois, I mean, working across the aisles, the Saudis are making this happen. Hey, I'll take it. And Oleksandr Usyk, as we've seen from social media, and this was actually ahead of the formal announcement of Joshua in Dubai, he came out on social media and said, "The IBF belt is my present for you, 21st of September 2024. The world loves strong. Your friend, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk." Usyk is a character, and I will be discussing this move by him a little bit further in my upcoming Patreon video, because there is another element to this. But only 3 of the 4 will be on the rematch. I guess it's not the undisputed rematch, it's the highly anticipated rematch where 3 of the 4 belts will be on display. This week, as part of another card that Queensbury's had, they've taken the opportunity for the Saturday, July the 27th card, which is headlined by Joyce and Derek Chisora. They've come face to face for the first time. And also on that card, it has been confirmed that Moses Itauma is going to be on that card facing vsvak. And as you can see here, IFL sort of couches it as a step up against vsvak. At this point, Vak, who doesn't really look like this anymore in this little photo, you know, he's washed as anything. The guy has retired a couple of times in the past year or two. He's a walking punch bag at 40-something years old at this point. Very little in the way of offense, but he's got durability. If anything, that fight against Konstantin Doboshenko, which Itauma was taking the distance, that was a number of fights ago. That's a better fight than this one. No one's going to tell me otherwise. And also some other Moses Itauma news. You have a case where after his most recent win against Ilya Mazentsev, he's now entered the rankings for the WBO with their Intercontinental title. And actually half a dozen Brits in these rankings. Joseph Parker currently with the interim title. There's talk he may face Zhang in a rematch. We shall see. There was talk later this year. Parker, a few others here. Zhang after his win against Wilder. A few other fighters there. Obviously, what's Kabiel doing next? Justice Hooney after his win over Kevin Lorraine. There's a number of big names, and Martin McCauley, he's got a fight coming up with Jared Anderson. There's some tasty prospects either for fights that are made or potentially to be made. With the Saudis involved, you know, it seems anything is possible at this point. Whether Otto Wallin is going to be in the mix anytime soon, bit of a question mark, but he's had a fight announcement, so he will be returning at the Tropicana Atlantic City July the 26th. And I had seen Richard Lartey was the potentially mooted opponent. I guess we'll see, but a month out, no opponent confirmed. It's probably not going to be a big name given the card that it's on. I mean, how much value he gets out of this? It's activity, get a win in the win column, I guess, and then we'll see. But is that enough to propel him into a big fight, either in Saudi Arabia or one of these other Saudi cards, which obviously you've got the US now involved with the LA card coming up in August and the UK in September. You know, there's going to be more of those types of cards. Can Wallin get in the mix? I guess after his pretty much non-performance against Anthony Joshua, where he talked a big game and did very little, I mean, is the appetite from many of us boxing fans for the light-fisted Wallin very high at the moment? I would say not. And to some other news, so you have Trevor Bryan, who was laid out in 2023 in brutal fashion by Cassius Chaney. So he has announced his retirement, saying to fans, friends and family, "I have overcome great obstacles in my last defeat," and he was injured. He spent some time in hospital. Don't know the extent of his injury from that, but you can see he's wearing a neck brace. He says, "Never ashamed to share my journey, but definitely comfortable to do so now, and I'm happy because I'm so blessed to see how strong I am against adversity. Due to my last injury, I have to end my boxing career in the ring, but I will never be done with boxing because it's my life. My story continues because I'm a fighter, and there will be more to come from the Dream Team." So Trevor Bryan, who was With Don King, he held a version of the WBA, a piece of the WBA heavyweight title, has retired. So I don't know the extent of the injury. I don't think he's disclosed that publicly in terms of what exactly is this career-ending injury, but obviously it was enough to see him hang it up. So good luck to Trevor Bryan in retirement. Maybe didn't quite deliver on some of the potential some thought he might have, you know, several years ago. But obviously after the loss to Cheney and the injury he sustained, he's decided it's time. So good luck to Trevor Bryan in retirement. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.